Hello and welcome back to the channel for another Power of the Doctor themed video. So Jodie Whittaker's final episode of Doctor Who is now less than a week away, and so a few bits and pieces have been released over on the official social media channels to get us all that bit more hyped, including a rather fantastic overview trailer for the whole of this era so far, which really is quite something. It's well worth a watch if you haven't seen it already, and not least because it contains a brand new shot from the Power of the Doctor, sort of. I say sort of because it is a shot we've seen before in one form or another, but it's either been less cropped or comes further on into the shot when it's sort of been pulled out a bit, the camera's been pulled further back, and you can see more of what's in the shots. It is, of course, this shot of the Master as Rasputin, which we first saw in the teaser trailer, then again in the full TV trailer. And now we can see something on the left-hand side of the shot, which was previously off camera, so namely a Dalek. Which, yeah, took me by surprise when I was watching that trailer through, because I sort of anticipated that there would be existing clips from the Power of the Doctor, maybe some new bits and pieces as well. And in the end, of course, it did just turn out to be this one modified shot. But yes, that's very, very exciting because as well in this shot, something which I personally hadn't noticed before, apparently some people had, but I hadn't. If you look behind the Master, to the left of the Master, like sort of behind his hair, you can see the outline, the silhouette of a Cyber Master. You can see the two sort of distinctive blue lights lit up, so one on the chest, one on the headpiece, and then more generally as well, sort of the whole outline of the Cyber Master with the arms and the long cloak draped down. So that's very exciting because it means, of course, we're going to be getting the Master, the Daleks and the Cybermen, or the Cybermasters technically, all within the same scene in the special. Someone was pointing out to me on Twitter that they think this is the first time we've ever seen the Daleks, Cybermen and Master all within the same shot in the show, and yeah, I think, unless I've missed something, that is about right. So that's a very exciting milestone, and presumably they've sort of formed some sort of alliance, perhaps the Daleks are in on the whole sort of Time Lord regenerative powers thing as well, perhaps they're benefiting from all that sort of stuff in the same way that the Cybermen did. And of course as well, this shot is generally presumed to be from the Doctor's point of view, the Doctor's perspective, and she's presumably in that booth at this point in the story, as we've seen in the trailer and other promo pics as well. And for some reason, this whole strand of the story takes place in Russia in like 1916 or something, with the Master as Rasputin. Who knows exactly what's going on there, but it's very, very intriguing indeed. In fact, on that note as well, we have had some further cast members confirmed for the special. So we have Richard Dempsey playing Nicholas and Anna Anderson playing Alexandra, and they are presumed to be the Emperor and Empress of Russia at that time, Emperor Nicholas II and Empress Alexandra. We also have two new characters from the train scenes. So we have Sancho McCormack playing Train Marshal Halaz, and Joe Sims playing Deputy Marshal Arnhost. So McCormack has previously appeared in Doctor Who very, very briefly as the housing officer who sends Donna to Leeds in Turn Left. Quite an iconic role, I'm sure you'd agree. She also had a very minor role in the first series of Broadchurch as Nikki Smith, who was one of the other mothers who lived in Broadchurch and was friendly with the Latimers. And of course, Joe Sims also appeared in Broadchurch as Nige Carter, who was one of the main suspects, at least in the first series, and then also reappeared in the second and third series. And he's also dipped his toes into the world of Big Finish in the past sort of 4 or 5 years or so, and most notably playing the character of Mark 7 in the Dalek Universe audio series, as well as other bits and pieces as well. And finally, we have Daniel Bjelek playing a curator, and Joe Slovic playing a messenger. We also have 6 new promo pics from the special. So we have the 13th Doctor and her TARDIS in these red caves where we've seen the Daleks in previous shots and images. And she's looking rather shocked there, so presumably she's sort of discovering the Dalek threat for the first time, or she's seeing the extent of what they've done with the volcanoes, presumably. Presumably that is what this sort of strand of the episode is about, and like tectonic plates and all this sort of stuff, the seismologists who've gone missing, etc. We have another shot of the 3 Daleks previously glimpsed in a previous image and also in that very first teaser trailer as well. They've got their plungers back, which hardcore Dalek fans will be pleased to see. And we also know from images previously released by SFX magazine and Doctor Who magazine that Ace will be appearing in these scenes as well, with the baseball bat and with her jacket back on. Of course, we also saw as much in that very first teaser trailer, in that sort of split-second shot where you could just about make her out in the jacket and stuff, hitting the Dalek with the baseball bat. We have a very interesting shot of the Master, sort of like at a sort of desk or something at the front of a room, presumably speaking to people or giving a lecture of some description, with all these whiteboards and pictures and stuff behind and diagrams of volcanoes. So perhaps he's sort of captured the seismologists, the 12 missing seismologists, and he's keeping them here in this room, wherever that is, and he's sort of gloating and sort of telling them all about his plan to like destroy the Earth by unleashing all these volcanoes and stuff. Or perhaps he's actually posing as a seismologist himself. Perhaps he's taking out the competition by sort of doing away with those 12 seismologists, that he can step in, fill in their shoes and sort of advise units or advise the Earth authorities with advice which actually turns out to not be particularly helpful and conducive. We've got a fantastic new shot of Ashad, the lone Cyberman, in Unit HQ. We already knew that he was going to be in Unit HQ at some point because of previous trailer shots and previous images. But I think this shot in particular is just so fantastic. The sort of full body shots of that, frankly, just amazing costume. It looks so good there, with all the rust on it and all the weathering and stuff. And particularly as well, sort of set against the sort of very modern aesthetic of Unit HQ, with these sort of clean white walls and shiny floors and very trendy exposed bits of brickwork. I just think he looks absolutely fantastic here. Really glad to see him back. I know some people had problems with him coming back and with his ending sort of being undone, and of course we've got to wait and see how that actually comes across in the story itself, but I think it's kind of worth it to see this amazing costume again and to see these scenes and shots. I'm really excited to see what he's up to in The Power of the Doctor. We have a new shot of Yaz, just in like her standard outfit from the special rather than the orange spacesuit that she wears in some scenes, looking sort of slightly uneasy, slightly worried perhaps. She's standing there not far from the TARDIS doorway. Could this be from her final scene? It's possible. I mean, it kind of gives me similar vibes to like the shot of Ryan when he's sort of standing in a similar spot at the end of Revolution of the Daleks and making this decision and saying, no, I'm not going to come with you anymore, Doctor. And when he stops there with Graham as well in the doorway to sort of say one final farewell. So perhaps this is from her final scene, or perhaps I'm just reading too much into that. Then we have a fantastic shot of Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor, just in her TARDIS in the doorway, sort of looking out, presumably from the filming down in Grange Gardens in Cardiff, which is the location where Bradley Walsh was spotted as Graham. The shot would seem to match up, and the angle and everything, and the costume. So presumably it's from towards the end of the episode, perhaps one of the final scenes where she's sort of dropping Yaz and Dan off for the final time, and she's sort of setting them up with Graham, so to speak, to sort of team up and have like this Earth defence group, maybe. We've also got 7 new interviews from the BBC press office from Jodie Whittaker, Amandip Gill, John Bishop, Sash Dhawan, Sophie Aldred, Janet Fielding and Chris Chibnall, which I haven't had chance to fully dissect yet and to look at really, but if there's anything sort of particularly startling or surprising or spoilerific in those interviews, then I will of course cover that in a separate video. But in terms of all the other new stuff we've discussed today, all the promo pics and the casting information and the trailer shot as well, with the Dalek in it, what do you make of it all? What are your thoughts and theories? Whatever the case, be sure to let me know down in the comments section. If you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and also subscribe to the channel if you're new for more Power of the Doctor content over these coming 7 days. And if you'd like to go one step further in supporting the channel, you can find the link to my Patreon page in the video description. But otherwise, until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.